Welcome back to the WTF podcast. It's season 2, and I'm thinking bigger, all right? I have a very special guest, Nancy Ward. Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, and you?
The best. I just got back from Texas. I did a big road trip, so, on to bigger things. We're busy, but that's okay because it's fun.
That's got to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get out.
Yeah.
You can't stay in the same place.
Yeah. But, Nancy, to me, growing up, she's always been like kind of a role model in a way. So having her on the podcast is very special to me, and like hearing her story and her ideas and stuff like that. I've always enjoyed talking to her, and I'm super excited to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I didn't realize that I was your role model, but thank you.
Oh yeah, no, big time, Nancy. Like huge, because it's you whenever, because for me, my dad always taught me like it's what's the saying, like speak like with your actions rather than your words. So when I love to to observe people, and whenever I was just younger growing up, I was always like, where's Nancy? Working. And then when she come home, she's cooking. I'm like, dude, how's she doing this? Like, did she not sleep? I'm like, wait, what? And then I almost wanted to like study that, you know what I mean? So that's why
you do it.
It's weird.
Yeah, and the only reason I stopped cooking is because my kids wouldn't eat.
Right, and then when Eli starts cooking, I'm like, everybody coming over, it's gonna be a feast.
Yeah, no, I used to make all this stuff homemade, like salad dressing everything was from scratch.
Wow.
And I'd have it all ready, and they'd be like door dashing. And I'm like, what the heck?
Oh
I just spent hours doing this food, and you're going to eat DoorDash.
No, I know. It's the same way with me and my family, too. Because, I take... My dad was a cook. I think I've told you that before.
Yeah.
So, it's like, for us, it's like an art form. It really is. Like, whenever we're cooking, it's kind of special. So it's like, yeah, you can go have your little appetizer, but just know it's like you're missing out. Yeah. Because it's worse when it's leftovers.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And Elijah doesn't like leftovers. So.
I don't believe in leftovers either. So.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
like leftovers. Oh, my God. They always taste better the next day.
Maybe pizza. But, like, I don't know. Because I was raised, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of raised by, like, my parents, but they were always working. So when I had my grandma at home watching us, so she'd always be like, you're not going anywhere unless that plate's finished. You know what I mean? And that. Yeah. Now, since I'm older, I was always like, Grandma, I don't want to eat my veggies or all this stuff. But now that I'm older, I'm so thankful that she brought me up that way. Going to church and making sure all the food was off your plate, because you never know the next time. We won't. Luckily we didn't have to struggle that much. But I've known the poor side of society, so it's like I'm grateful.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But,
that you haven't even seen poor here in this country.
Oh, no. I bet. Like, I've only probably scratched the surface.
Oh, yeah. I remember when we went to Central America. We were in Guatemala because I don't know if you knew, we did a road trip when we first
I think Eli told me about it.
We went from here all the way to Panama and all the way back. And I remember, yes, we drove. Yes. We stayed. It was the craziest. It was 3 months long. Wow. And I was supposed to have someone help me, but he had a stroke.
Oh my gosh.
Before, so it was 2 caravans, one family and then mine. Halfway about in Mexico, the AC went down, and we're going to some of the hottest places in the world.
Literally.
Costa Rica, Guatemala, and all this stuff. Anyways, we made it through, but I remember Elijah telling me, hey, Mom, where do those kids, shower? Uh-huh. And I'm like, they don't have water. And they're like, what? Where do they sleep? On the floor in the mud? He would just be shocked. He just couldn't believe it. How can a kid not have those things?
Right.
Especially when you've had it all your life. Mm-hmm. But I like to take them out places like that because I wanted him to see what it was like out of his bubble. Mm-hmm. And he wanted him to know that he was very lucky.
Yeah. Wow. That's it's not a hard lesson. It's a good lesson growing up, because you start to realize whoa, wow, I do have it good. Like can we adopt all these guys? You know what I mean? That's how my family was, because my grandpa, I've had him on the podcast before, but my grandpa's a big role model to me too. And he told me, because he was a big time coach, that brought state champions, blah blah blah. So
college?
High school.
Oh, high school.
High school coach. But he remembers. There's this poor kid. This poor kid. He he slept on the dirt type stuff. And like when my mom and that side of my family would tell me about that, I'm like, sleep in the dirt? Like what? Why doesn't he just get a bed? He didn't have a glove to play baseball. He didn't have a bat. No. But he was one of the best.
Yeah, he had talent.
That boy had talent. And my grandpa was like, what are you doing? You don't have a bat here. You don't have a glove here. I'm like, we need you. Like, we're not going to win unless you're not playing. Like, you have to play. Because,
that's awesome.
And that's where I got that lesson from growing up, where I was like, dude, I have a bed. Like, because I used to share a bunk bed with my brother, right? But,
and you probably complained about it.
Right. Yes.
I want my own room.
Yep. That's exactly how it was. That's exactly how it was.
See, my house, there was only 3 little tiny bedrooms. And there was 6 kids. And we always had men living in our house that would come in from Mexico. My dad was always helping them get on their feet and then move out.
Dude.
So we always had like
awesome.
10, 15 people living in a 600 square foot place.
Dude, holy crap.
So talk about
insane.
But then when I moved out to college, I missed all that noise.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was used to all the noise.
You're just like by yourself?
Kids. Well, yeah. The first day I remember when my parents dropped me off, I was like, oh shit, this is quiet. And I was at San Diego State. That's like the number 2 party school. That was the first day though. It wasn't quiet after that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I was in LA where we had helicopters, cops, and mute people playing music all the time. It was quiet. I was like, oh, this is weird.
In San Diego?
San Diego.
Oh, okay, nice. I mean, if you don't mind, I'd like you to get into that college era, because I'm kind of in my college phase myself. So, if you wanted to like, because I would go to college, but I think it's kind of the universities right now are kind of inflated. Like I don't know.
You end up in more debt than you end up.
And that's the thing too, is like I learn with experience. I'm a hands-on learner, right? So yes, I love school. I really did love school. Like growing up, I was in the 5th grade. I was like the top 3 reader. It's like top of my class. But I did get into trouble. I've talked about it on the podcast too. And you learn those lessons where it's like I really did enjoy school, and I liked getting those grades. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
making sure I was studied up, and but academics right now are a little interesting. I think especially nowadays in this era where you could look up. We call it YouTube University, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like I've kind of taught myself, and then like I said before, it's more of experience for me.
Yeah, and experience is a lot more important than your college degree, honestly.
Nowadays, too.
I was having a hard time finding a job because I didn't have a bachelor's degree in the outside sales industry, and that was unknown back then. It's almost like having a high school diploma.
Wow.
Yeah, I just, so I signed up to go back to school to go finish my bachelor's, but then I changed this job and my classes were scheduled completely opposite. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go next semester. And it's only for my own self. Really. Yeah. Something I always wanted to finish.
Cross the finish line.
Yeah. I started.
Awesome. That's so good, Nancy.
But for a long time, I was making so much money that I was like, why would I go back to college? Mm-hmm. And I had a friend who she was my roommate in college. And so she was doing what I did. And I wanted to be a corrections officer.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to work. But you have to start at the bottom. And so she started, she would have to stay at juvenile hall with like the guys.
Yeah, that's a hard job.
3 days a week. And then go home for 3 days, stay there. So she would always tell me, if you want to do this, it's hard on having a family. Keep doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So that's why I stayed what I was doing,
What were you doing at the time?
Before that?
Well, before you wanted to become a correctional officer.
Oh.
Sorry, I kind of.
I started young. I started working really young.
Okay.
I'm the oldest of 6.
Wow.
We had.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Rodrigo's the youngest. You've never met my other siblings?
Probably, but
you need to meet them. Yeah, they're pretty cool. I'm the oldest.
I can't believe you're the oldest. That makes sense, though. It really does.
Yeah.
You're the freaking, you're the person to follow.
Yeah. Well, after my mom passed away, I was the only one left to follow.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. But before, let's see, I started working when I was 13.
Okay.
I used to work at this. Now I think back at sweatshop.
Yeah, I bet.
This lady owned her own business doing. She used to do like fabrics and shirts for McDonald's kids.
Wow.
And she would take me there at 6 a.m. I'd probably go home like 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Dang.
And I'd make like $100 like every 2 weeks.
Right.
But I thought that was a lot of money back then.
Oh, yeah.
But I go, damn, she had me in a sweatshop.
Holy shit.
And I would just sit there and cut all the little strings off all the clothing that was coming out. And then I'd have to roll up the sleeves before the ladies sewed them together.
Yeah.
So it was always, So I started at 13 and then I started working at Pioneer Chicken, fast food places. But I was very lucky when I turned 17. I needed a job and I got a job offer and I didn't have a car to go there. It was too far. So, and obviously we didn't have the money for it. So I called this company. I called the unemployment. They're like, hey, somebody came in here today. They need somebody in their office part-time as a receptionist in a marble place. And I was like, what the hell's a marble place? And I didn't know any of this high-end stuff. I thought marbles, like plain marbles.
Right.
Because we used to play those all the time.
Yeah.
This marble place, I didn't realize like natural stone.
Yes.
So this was one of the oldest importers of granite slabs and high-end tile in all of California.
Wow.
They started like in the 1960s. And back then there was only like 2 places. So it was them. And it was cool because they were Sicilian.
Really?
They all worked together as a family. They had this they had a setup that was different from everybody else because they had the shop and then they had a showroom. And then you went down to the yard where all the slabs were, and then they had this huge 7,000 square foot warehouse.
Storage?
Yeah.
Dude,
warehouse. All like legit. Full of marble and granite. So they sold wholesale.
Yep, that's how they do it.
But the guy that worked with me, his name was Gino Battaglia, old Sicilian guy. Funny, but serious.
Yeah, because that's Italian, right? But the Sicilian is different.
Well, they always say Sicilian. It's kind of like Puerto Rico. They're kind of like Puerto Ricans. They're mixed. Right. So that's why they say we're not Italian. We're Sicilian. And same thing. People from Italy say they're not Italian. They're Sicilian.
Right. That's funny.
It's the same, but you know what I mean. So he was really like, I always thought he was like hard on me. Because he would see me like, if there was nothing to do, like answering phones, he always had something for me to do. Right. He would go, go outside to the yard and start tagging the slabs. And I'd be like, oh my God, he just wants to see me working. But it was a good way he taught me, good work ethic, because he made me learn everything from the bottom up. That's important. So like even in the back where they'd fabricate the granite, he would tell me, come on, come over here. I said, okay, what? I want you to bullnose these marble tiles. And these are machines you're grinding. And I'm watching the guys out there doing this stuff. I'm like, why?
The guys, by the way.
Yes. He's like, you need to learn it. If you're going to be in a business like this, you need to learn everything. I didn't think I was going to end up there. I was at college. I was like, I'm going to do this forever. But I learned everything. And that's how I ended up starting my business. Awesome. Because he made me learn everything from secretary to sales to inventory to containers coming in, to accounting. I would sit with the family and they'd teach me how to do accounts payable, accounts receivable. So
he saw something in you. He had to have seen something in you.
Yeah. Well, he was an immigrant too.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And he came to the U.S. with nothing. So, but that's just the way he was. And I've gone back to him now. He's like in his late 80s. He's still in his office.
Really? Still to this day?
Espresso machine. Awesome. I'm really good friends with the family.
Okay, that's awesome.
So, yeah. And so I helped him open up a showroom when I first moved here. Cool. I couldn't find a job, so I was going up there like 10 days in LA, 10 days here, helping him open a store.
That's right. Okay, cool. Wow, that's awesome.
So that's what I did. Sales. I started in sales maybe when I was about 18.
Okay. So I guess that leads into like this question. It's like, how? Because you're like, it's the same way with me too. I've always heard that. What was the word you used earlier? It's like you're well spoken. So for me, sales was hard because I was like, I'm not, because a lot of I don't know, sales was just hard for me. But I do enjoy connecting with people. That's something that I do enjoy.
That's all you do with sales. Right. That's the most important thing. See, a lot of people, like, you know right away a car salesman. Yeah. Right? They're aggressive. I'm not like that with people. But what I do is when I'm doing something, I really want to help people. And see, you're a natural.
Really?
Yeah, you're natural because you can talk freely. That's
Right.
how it is. You know how to build rapport. You know how to what questions
the
to
rapport.
ask.
I love sales class.
Building a bridge.
Breaking the ice.
Exactly. So you're a natural at that, and I think it's probably because of your family. But I don't know. It's just a thing when you like people. You know.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I've always been. But
That's
I think it's important to love what you sell.
Yes.
I've never been able to sell something that I wasn't proud of.
Mm-hmm.
So every company I ever worked for, like that company is one of the oldest places I ever worked at.
Respectable.
Exactly. And the last company I worked for here, it was also one of the oldest companies in Spain from 1891.
Nice.
Fifth generation family.
Dude,
you
that's
know?
So cool.
So when I sold it, it's like I believed in it.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for me at Home Depot. I'm not going to lie.
Right.
Because Home Depot's customer service and installation, I've always worked in high end. And I wouldn't let none of that shit slide.
Uh-huh.
Oops, did I say a bad word?
It's the WTF podcast.
I never let that shit. I would never let that slide if it was when it was my business, you know.
I get it.
But in Home Depot, I had no control of it.
Uh-huh.
So when I sold something, and I still sold a lot. But if people were asking me, you guys have the best guy. I hope I didn't turn this off.
Oh, it's fine. It's still on.
No, oh, okay.
You're good.
If people would ask me, "Oh, your installer is good," I really couldn't answer it. You know, honestly.
Yeah, that's
because
how
I
it is
never
in those
knew who
corporate
was
jobs,
going.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You did you ever meet Xander?
Yeah.
He was a good friend of mine.
Really?
Yeah, Xander's really cool.
Xander, I love Xander. He became a manager.
Yeah, that's right.
He has a big position right now.
Yeah, Xander Mallard. That's my boy. He's working hard.
Hi, Xander.
Right? He's working hard. I never usually when I go out, you know, sometimes he's out, but it's, you know, I love hard workers. A lot of my friends are hard workers, and I respect that drive. You know what I mean?
He moved up in that company pretty fast.
Awesome.
Really fast.
He was just like that. He's a natural too.
Mm-hmm. And he left college. But I mean, if you're working for Home Depot,
cool,
and you get up there, those guys make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's awesome.
Just not the workers, but the people who are managing.
Yeah.
Those guys make 6 figures.
That's cool. Good for him. He's freaking my age. Like what?
Yeah.
Probably working with a bunch of 50-year-olds, but
he's probably not making that quite yet, but he's close.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I don't know. That's why recently I've been thinking about going to college because I've missed that like community. You know what I mean? I miss being able to, you know, because I was the type of kid that would go click to click, like, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? You know, I didn't really have I just didn't believe in that. I think, you know, people are people at the end of the day, and I don't know, like a lot of people would be like, oh, why are you hanging out with that person or this person? But it's like, why can't I hang out with everybody, right? That's my mindset. And of course, you know, there's the bad apples, you know, that you have to separate, you know, from. But that's what I just didn't believe in that kind of stuff, you know, like
I was the same way.
I don't know.
And that's the thing. That's why you're a natural, because you're able to jump in any group and kind of blend in, right?
Right. Exactly.
See, I grew up in a neighborhood where everybody was like a cholo, or everybody was like a gangster.
Was it diverse?
We had a lot of black people, a lot of Mexicans, not a lot of white people.
Interesting.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot. I mean, I rarely ever met like a white, because it was a poor area. Yeah, so I noticed now that I never met a white person in California that was poor.
That's so interesting.
And so it was like a little shock when I came out here.
Right.
Because I was like, wait, I thought all white people were rich.
Yeah, no. So my buddy Donovan, his parents, his dad's from California, and he grew up with the bass heads. He was the white black guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rest in peace, by the way, Jason. We miss you. But he was the poor white guy, and I was like, it was so interesting because it's just like, race doesn't fucking matter. Like, what is this race war bullshit? You know what I mean? Like, it's so annoying for me, especially. Like, it's just a calming topic. I feel like at this point, it's just like, you know, it's just I just don't agree with all that stuff. Especially here in America, we're a melting pot. Like,
but that's a way to divide people.
Exactly.
That's what they want. They want to divide you because it's a distraction.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I'm against the trans. I'm pro-life. I'm pro this. I'm pro that. Everybody's fighting. It's like, come on, people. Let's do something. Let's compromise. There's no compromise. There's no It's either your side or your side.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the middle.
Preaching. It's just.
I don't think this country is gonna go start moving until an independent party moves in.
I had the same thought. I think the bipartisanship is the biggest. I don't even want to bring it to politics, but it's a big topic, I guess, nowadays.
Yeah.
But the bipartisanship, it's so annoying. Like, I just don't get it. But
like Mexico, they've been PRI or PAN, which is like Republican, Democrat forever.
Right. Yeah.
They've had two independent people running the country, and it's starting to produce.
Recently?
The president right now, she's a woman.
Yeah,
she's
I've heard.
Badass.
Dude, I've heard some crazy shit about that election.
She started basically so all the people that are getting deported right now.
Yeah.
They're welcoming them with $2,000, a place to stay, food, and if they want to go back home, they're giving them a bus ride.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, they're basically taking care of it. But the lady, she's just done a lot of different things, like nationalized.
Let's be honest, it's hard with the cartels,
It is, but it's not really like that. Not all Mexico.
Awesome.
It just depends
Dude,
where you
beautiful.
go.
I've been praising, like, Mexico's been kicking our ass. Let's be honest. A lot of other countries they see that fire in the Mexican culture,
Yeah, but it's because
it's always been like that.
They've always been the, what do they call that? You're always the minority or the. I'm trying to think of in sports, the underdog.
Right, the underdog. Oh, for sure. Freaking
always.
Oh man, the history. I'm a history buff, and that part of this part of the world is, I think, still misunderstood. I feel like the history, we don't know anything.
Yeah. That's why you'll enjoy that show, Primeval.
I'm gonna watch it.
A lot of people don't realize how much crap happened in this country.
Yeah, especially
a lot of bloodshed.
Yeah, man.
Everywhere, but.
Yeah, I read a book, Empire of the Summer Moon. It talks about the Rangers coming to Texas and having to deal with the Comanche, which at the time, a little history lesson, at the time, the Comanche were the strongest. Not even Spain can conquer them, because they were riding horses and they were on horseback with bow and arrow, which, by the way, is extremely hard.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So they'd kick ass, but they just kick ass, and they couldn't be conquered. Until they invented the revolver. Until they invented that gun. After that, it changed the game. But the book explains it a lot of the history behind Texas and just that area.
I know,
because they were. Native American culture is fascinating, man, and
I do too. I love it.
People just don't know.
And it's the same as indigenous. I'm 49% indigenous.
Awesome.
But remember that everything from Alaska all the way down to, what's the last country at the bottom there?
In Central America?
Yeah, in South America.
Oh, Chile?
All the Americas, basically.
Is it Chile?
Yes. So all of the Americas and all that, there was originally 52 tribes that crossed the Bering Strait to what now is Alaska, Canada, the United States, Mexico, Guatemala, all that. So if you ever go to Mexico, there's still a lot of them that were never conquered too, that lived out in the mountains.
Wow.
So the state I love the best, it's called Oaxaca.
Mm-hmm.
They still have 14 indigenous cultures, and they all speak their original language.
That's so cool.
It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
Wow, that's awesome, Nancy.
I've been around the world, but I just love Oaxaca. The culture and.
That's a country?
It's a state. It was the poorest state in Mexico because it's mostly indigenous people.
Wow.
But they've really come up. It's on the border of. It's almost on the border of Guatemala.
Okay.
And it's different. Mm-hmm. It's and Mexico City is about 4 hours away from there.
This sucks. I wanted this to be a half hour, but it's already 25 minutes.
You can always edit.
It's going to be longer than a half hour, but it's just, that's how it is in these conversations. It's like, dang, dude, time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
Exactly. So as far as what I was doing that was my goal. I wanted to finish college. I wanted to be the first one to get my degree. I wanted to do something different. But because I had to start my it was like I wasn't planning on starting the business when I did. Mm-hmm. So my mom was 46 and there was 6 of us. And I was the one married, and my brother, who was a year younger than me, was married. And then my other sister, who was like 5 years younger, she was already out on her own. But there was still 3 little ones. There was a 15-year-old Hector, there was a 14-year-old Yvette, and then there was Rodrigo. He was 7.
Oh, crazy.
So my mom passed away when she was 46 and he was 7 years old.
Oh, okay.
So they lived in the projects, and I had already moved to San Diego. Mm-hmm. And I had been trying to get him out of the projects, but my dad was just like stubborn, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I get it.
So when my mom passed away, I don't think he really had a choice. Mm-hmm. I set up a place for them in San Diego, mm-hmm. and I got somebody to move all the stuff up there. So he was pissed. There you go. And my siblings
it's better,
were kind of
trust
mad.
Me. No.
Well, my siblings were upset because,
right.
Come on. Yeah. I'm taking them from where they've always lived, their friends, their mom just died, and here I'm dragging them across the state. So they fought me on it, but I think now they're thankful that I took them there. I'm
that's
sure,
awesome.
for sure.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up starting my business when my mom passed. Mm-hmm. That was my plan to finish college, and then all of a sudden I was like, shit, I got all these kids to take care of.
That's right.
You know, and then I had Jason, my nephew. Mm-hmm. He was 14 at the time.
Mm-hmm. He lives in the same neighborhood, right? That
no,
Jason?
No, he came to live with me. No, he didn't grow up in the neighborhood. He grew up good, like Joe.
Right. Okay.
He grew up in Joe's house.
Oh, okay.
His grandparents pretty much raised him.
Oh, okay.
Because his mom was young. Yeah, his mom was young, and his mom was, partying, doing whatever. So they took care of him. And so when that happened, I had to pull my brother from Oregon down where I lived, and I had to move my dad, and I had to move everybody. So I had to make money.
Yeah.
I was hoping to give my siblings everything we didn't have, or at least try to make up for it because they were suffering so much. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what else do I do? I had to start my business. It's the only way you can make money. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah. Is mine red too? Oh, these are gonna die soon. Okay. Oh. Well, if they do die, we'll have a little cut. But that's why also another reason why I really wanted you on the podcast is because I've heard inklings of your story, and I think, like I told you before, I hit record. It's just like that story. You have like just like that's a good story, but I feel like it's not shared a lot. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I feel like a lot of those stories, like the come up of an immigrant, right? Like people it's just because there's a big there right now in 2025, there's a big like stigma on immigrants, and people just like this country is a melting pot, and I just people need to understand like it's hard. It really is hard nowadays, and I don't think it shouldn't have to be. I think people just don't really. It's procrastination. You know what I mean? They don't want to solve the problems that need to be solved right now. So
well, because it's convenient. So like we were talking about earlier, they pay taxes. They don't have to give it back. So
right.
And then exactly. they're able to pay people for cheap labor, and they're not going to complain. Mm-hmm. Because if
it's better than what was whatever's going on back then. You know what I mean?
They took some like Americans they hired like when they were having the raids. Yeah. They hired a bunch of guys to come and work in the fields, and like only one of them made it like a week. But they asked him like, "Would you do this?" And he's like, "Hell no, unless I got paid like $35 an hour. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I would do it.
I'm gonna go work under a car, thank you."
Right? These guys are getting paid $7.25 an hour.
Dude.
It's hard work, So who else is going to do that?
Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah, and then it's like, it's greed. Let's be honest. Like it really is greed. Like it's just I get it. Like I understand. You wanna succeed in life, but I don't know. I just don't get. I don't get it. Nowadays, I want I hope and I pray that the wealth is distributed more, because the way upper class is just the monopolistic oligarchs, you know what I'm saying? We don't have to get into it because I'll probably get in trouble, but or sued or something stupid. But fucking
no, I know, especially in Idaho.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like getting too deep into it, but it's a problem. Obviously.
Yeah, but it's you know what? any way you look at it, if the leaders are greedy, even if they're whatever, because communism started as like to try to do a good thing that we all should share. But then, like in Cuba, then you got Fidel Castro and he got greedy, so it doesn't work.
Human nature.
Same thing as capitalism. Capitalism works, but only if it's fair. And it's not fair that you're paying taxes for your job, but they're not paying taxes because there's so many loopholes.
Yes.
If we charge them equally, then everyone would have healthcare, education.
And then and I think we talked about it earlier. It's like there's loopholes in the tax the tax breaks, but the thing is that it's, I get it, because it's like, this person does work hard, I'm sure, but it does need to be balanced more. And then because recently Elon Musk showed up at the world thing, and he's like, "What are you guys doing sitting on this money? Like these people are our backbone." Like in 2008 there was the big housing market crash, and that scares me. It really does scare me, because I feel like anything can happen nowadays. And are they going to get another bailout? Are they going to take the money that are coming off our backs? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get it, because my family's always been in the middle class, and dude, the last 4 or 5 years we were fucking struggling, bro.
Yeah.
Like everybody, every fucking body was.
We do paycheck to paycheck.
Oh yeah, yes. And then I started working when I was 14, not because we were poor or whatever, but I just, I don't know. It's just I wanted to
have your
support,
own money.
And have my own money, but also support my mom and dad, because they've been working hard their whole lives.
Yeah, that was me too. That's why I started so young, because it's like I felt like I was going to be the only one to be able to give my siblings what I didn't have growing up, an advantage. And they did, because they were able to go to out to places like Disneyland and Magic Mountain, places they would have never gone if I wouldn't have stayed there to live there and, do that. But that's the only reason I worked. I wanted to help out my parents, I knew they were always living paycheck to paycheck. So I was like, it's time for me to start. It was like natural, like you just started working. And, you like making money too, so.
Yeah, well, it's, I talk about it. It's a good topic in my podcast, but I really do believe in our Lord and Savior Christ.
Of course. Me too.
And
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Amen. Same here.
Seriously.
And it's a big topic of mine, because it's important, because it's not like you believe in like this being, but it's like, no, you have to lead by example. It goes full circle. You have to lead by example. You have to give back to your community, and that's not just big donations like from upper class people. You're like, oh yeah, we're donating. We're great people.
Yes,
right, Nancy?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So for me, I'm like
supposed to be on the down low.
No, right? Exactly. But it's like, for me, I've been doing a lot of like fundraiser type stuff, like going out for like fundraisers, and then also like actually going out to like the poorer parts of the, because you told me, like, do you know there's homeless people here? I'm like, no way. And then I did because there's like a thing we do sometimes during Thanksgiving, we go out and give food. So that was like, I was like, oh, so this is what it means. This is what it means to finally be like, to walk that way of Christ. And I was like, dude, I'm grateful for the wards, because it wasn't like a reborn again situation necessarily, but I was far away from God, right? And
sometimes we like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're close, sometimes we get away. But what God, once he has you, he'll pull you back whatever way he does.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a hard way.
Yes.
So that's the hardest part, that you can walk away, but sometimes he's going to pull you back in a situation that you're going to need him, because that's probably when we're closest to him, when we're struggling, right?
100%.
Yeah. Even though we're supposed to be worshiping him all the time, whether it's good or bad, but it's hard. We're humans.
Of course. There's only so much we can do, and we have 24 hours of the day. But that's why I feel like, because I do spend a lot of time with God, I guess, by myself, and it's taught me a lot. You know, the solitude part of, I guess, growing up. You know what I mean? Being by yourself and learning how to maneuver around. And I love that. I love that about the Christian religion, and I was baptized. I grew up Christian, so it's just like it's natural to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I have.
Yeah.
And the thing is too about
and that
religion,
doesn't happen because not everybody that gets raised
I'm
Christian
lucky,
ends up
blessed.
being Christian. Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
I cannot lie. It's a freaking blessing. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I feel like if your heart's open, you're gonna accept it.
Yeah.
You know, whatever religion you are, if you're
Yeah.
gonna be open to it. I was 11 years old when I accepted the Lord, and my parents were Catholic, and it was a little bus that would pick us up in the projects, and they were all white people, like they were like veterans from the Navy, because we used to have we were near the ocean, so we had a lot of military bases around,
Right.
and they would come for us every Sunday. And I remember and I had been to catechism, I had been to church my whole life, but I remember the first time at, what was it called, Sunday school, when he talked about accepting the Lord and admitting that you were a sinner. And I was 11, but I just,
yes,
it was like a big wake-up call, like, how come I've never learned this before? So that same day I got baptized. So I came home with the baptism certificate, and my mom and dad were like, what the hell?
That's so cool.
You were already baptized.
Right?
Because I was baptized in the Catholic church.
That's so awesome.
So my dad wasn't cool with it ever, because Catholicism is more of a culture, I think.
Yeah.
For them.
See that.
We didn't go to church. We only went there for weddings, baptisms, Christmas.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So it was crazy because I had been in this church that's supposed to be all about Jesus Christ my whole life. But then it was never really about Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It was all these formal things you had to do, like, you know, catechism, and you had to go and you know, to a priest to talk to him about your sins and all that stuff. I never got it. So as soon as I heard the gospel, like, click.
Yes.
And there was a time, I'm not going to lie, about your age,
Yeah.
I was thinking there that maybe God was.
Welcome back. I know it's weird. We're in an office all of a sudden, and I have a haircut, but we're back with Nancy's podcast. We are here in Nancy's office, and I'm super excited to kind of wrap this podcast up, y'all. But yeah, Nancy, we're here. Freaking, what you be doing?
Well, I sell is what I do, but
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't really matter what you sell. We sell like barns and sheds and,
nice.
and garages, custom garages.
Okay, cool.
Tuff Shed's been around since 1981, and they started in Rexburg, Idaho. But
Nice.
they're, in his garage.
Wow.
The owner. Yeah, now he's nationwide, 1981, so that's not even that far back. And so it's as local as it gets, you know. But the thing I like about it is that we don't just sell sheds now. A lot of people, property's becoming really expensive.
Yes.
So now some of these are podcast studios.
Literally, yeah.
Some of them are crafting rooms. Some of them are like bars. Some of them are sports rooms. Oh, there's all sorts of stuff.
Oh, crap.
Different things that you can
cool.
or like a pool house or something like that. So
I'm thinking about what kind of shed I want next.
I know. That's what I was telling you, that some of these are really big. Like, see how they converted that into like a little shop?
Wow, the customized goes crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we basically build the shed, and everything else is up to you. So we don't do any of the other stuff. We don't do the drywalling or any of that. But basically, I just sit here, help people pick out their colors and what type of roof and what kind of shape. And if they want a regular shed door or more of a residential door, sometimes they use sliding glass doors. It just depends.
Yeah.
But that's what I do. I've been doing sales for a long time.
Nice.
But I think the most important thing about selling is that you sell what you believe in.
Yeah. So I was just gonna ask, what's the difference between like selling here and then maybe selling at like Home Depot?
Well, the thing is that Home Depot does have Tuff Sheds. We make the sheds for Home Depot, except that they don't offer a lot of the things that ours already come with it. It's
right. It's more like on the custom.
Yes, part. Exactly. So you'll get everything that you get there, we make here, but everything we have, and if you want some of the things we have, you have to pay an upgrade.
Right.
And those are not all of them are available.
Yeah. Like a freaking, what's it called? like a sun panel on the roof or something crazy?
Yeah, like more like actually like radiant heating.
Oh, okay.
It's something they put in the walls when they frame it, and it just keeps your shed cooler about 20 to 30 degrees. But that's something that they don't offer. We just have it here.
Yeah.
Because we have
neat.
to sell something different than Home Depot.
That's right.
But the difference is,
cool.
I think that I know this product is high quality, and I know they're the best.
And they've been around for a long time. 81 in here is cool. I love. Did you know that? I don't know if it was American Airlines. There's an airlines that started in Boise, and it's like, whoa. There's a lot of businesses out there. Simplot, a lot of businesses that started here that are like huge now. I'm like, dang, we're, Idaho got it. We're kind of underrated in that way.
I know, and people are surprised because a lot of people that move here from California, they're like, oh, we didn't know you had Tuff Shed, and we're like, Tuff Shed started in Idaho.
Right?
What are you talking about? Yeah, but we have like 68 factories now. We're
awesome.
in 48 states, so we can pretty much build anything. I can, design it and build it here out of my computer with the customer. Everything can be done online, and then their local factory would deliver it and install it for them.
Cool. I was gonna ask you because me and Eli kind of have this conversation a lot, and you've watched Naruto, so you kind of understand the culture, if you will. But tell me how it is for you. What's the difference between work ethic and talent? That's been like a big kind of question on my podcast is what makes the difference, like, do you kind of get that?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, talent, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you have no work ethic, it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's like you're waiting for stuff to fall out of the sky. There's no way. Just like here, I just started, and I don't have a lot of customers come in because it's the springtime. It's still cold, the winter time.
Yeah.
We don't have our sign yet. It's going to take maybe by the end of the month we'll have it. And there's a lot of things that are keeping us from having sales. So I got to go out and look for sales.
That's right.
So I got to go through the old leads and call and text, and then I got to just call other businesses to see, hey, do you guys need any sheds?
Interesting.
But if you don't have the work ethic, then you're not going to go very far.
Yes.
That's really important, especially when you're starting a business.
Oh, yeah.
When you're doing a business, because it's just when you're taking off. Later you can slow down a little bit, delegate, but while you're doing it, you just have to give it your all. It's like having a job 24 hours a day.
Cool.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, I kind of knew you were going to see something like that, but that's why I really wanted to document it, is because, man, that's important. I think it really is. And not just in business, but in life too. Like, if you want to, that's why I wanted you on, Nancy, because like I see just the way you operate, and it's so cool to know a strong spirit and a strong person like that, because like I said in the last like segment, you're a big role model to me. So just appreciate all the hard work.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, and that's just something, like I said, it's like, okay, you're trying to find a girlfriend, but you're not going out, and you're not going on any,
exactly.
dating
love that
sites.
analogy.
You're not going anywhere. You
love
expect a girlfriend to fall out of the sky in your lap. No, that's not the way it works. Well, once in a while, but that's got to be luck, right?
Yeah, that's luck. That has to be lady luck.
But I just always thought my one thing about work ethic, and this is personally, and I always tell Elijah this, and I always tell Nailea this, that every time I do something, I'm not doing it for my boss or for myself necessarily. I'm doing it for God.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm giving it everything I have. So even if I'm cleaning the house, my kids always say, you're so extra. But no, I'm not. I'm doing it because I'm trying to do the best job I can, whether it's cleaning the house, whether it's cooking them a meal, giving it all the love, attention.
Yeah.
That's just the way I do work.
Yes.
I've always done that.
That's
always
awesome.
been the first person in, last person out, even when I was young. And I was like in my 18, 19-year-old. But, it's just different now.
Yeah.
Back then, we had to hustle.
I hear it a lot from,
Yeah. I came from nothing, and that's okay, because if I ever get back to that point where I have nothing, I'll be okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, I'm used to it.
I already gave you the spiel of appreciation, but you know, hopefully this might not be the last one.
No.
Because I do enjoy, I did enjoy this podcast the most. I think I got a bigger perspective, and I think people are gonna enjoy the stuff we talked about. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Cool.
And then, you know, just continue, work hard.
Yes, I will. I will, Nancy. I will.
The talent is there. Now it's all up to you to just make it happen.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching.
Have a good one.
I'll drop all the stuffs. You know, look at the Tuff Shed. If you want a Tuff Shed, you heard what she said. 48 states. You never know. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching. What the heck is going on?